Imagine this for a moment. You walk into a room and everyone already thinks they know who you are. They know your struggles, they know your dreams, they know what you're working on, and they know the pain you've been through. But here's the twist. What they know didn't come from them watching your life closely. It came because you told them. You handed over pieces of yourself, thinking it made you relatable, thinking it made you strong, thinking it would bring you closer to people. But in reality, all it did was make you exposed. Here's the truth most people never realize. The more you share, the less powerful you become. The world teaches you that being open and transparent is a strength, but there's a very thin line between honesty and weakness. Some people don't deserve access to your story. Some people will never clap for your wins, they'll only study your failures. And the more you give away, the more control they have. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why the most respected people don't talk much about themselves? Why the most powerful individuals aren't the ones telling their life story to everyone who will listen? It's because they've mastered something most of us never do, the art of holding back. Today, I want to take you on a journey into why you should never share everything about yourself. Because the moment you stop giving away your power through words, you start living with a different kind of strength, the kind that cannot be broken, manipulated, or stolen. Not everyone deserves access to your story. That's one of the hardest lessons you will ever learn. Because most of us are raised to believe that opening up is always good, that telling people what we've been through makes us stronger, that being transparent somehow builds connection. But here's the problem. Not everyone who listens to your story has the right intentions. Some people listen to you only to collect information, not to support you. Some people listen to your struggles not because they want to lift you up, but because they want to know where you're weak. And some will smile in your face while secretly storing your words away for the day they need to use them against you. Think back to a time when you trusted the wrong person with something personal. Maybe you shared your fears, maybe your dreams, maybe your failures. How did it feel when that trust was broken? How did it feel when your words became gossip or when someone threw them back at you during an argument? It stings because you thought you were safe. You thought your story was respected. But the truth is, not everyone earns the right to hold pieces of who you are. Your story is valuable. Your life, your experiences, your struggles, they are sacred. Every detail you share is like currency, and once it leaves your mouth, you no longer control it. You don't decide how someone will interpret it. You don't decide how they will use it. You don't decide who else they will tell. You give away ownership of your story the moment you put it in the wrong hands. And that's why so many people end up feeling betrayed, judged, or misunderstood. It's not that their story wasn't worth telling, it's that they told it to the wrong person. You need to understand something. Privacy is not weakness. It's protection. Guarding your personal life doesn't mean you're hiding. It means you're wise. There is a difference between being secretive and being selective. Secretive is fear-based. It's about hiding because you're ashamed. Selective is strength-based. It's about choosing who has earned the right to know you. And not everyone has earned that right. The more you share, the more you give people the chance to misjudge you. Human beings are naturally judgmental. It's how we process the world. You might share a struggle thinking it makes you human, but to someone else, it just makes you look weak. You might share your goals thinking it makes you ambitious, but to someone else, it sounds like arrogance. You might share your personal life thinking it builds trust, but to someone else, it just becomes fuel for gossip. The reality is, once the words are out, you no longer control the lens through which they will be seen. There's another layer to this. Not everyone even wants the best for you. Some people are envious. Some people are waiting for you to slip so they can feel better about themselves. And the moment you give them inside information, you hand them exactly what they need. Why would you give your playbook to someone who wants you to lose? Why would you reveal your weaknesses to people who are secretly hoping you fail? Strong people move differently. They don't tell the world their every thought. They don't share every detail of their private life. They don't give strangers or casual acquaintances the privilege of knowing their deepest battles. They know that some parts of their journey belong only to them, and that's not selfish, it's smart. Think about the people you admire most in life. Think about the leaders, the role models, the strong figures. They carry an air of mystery about them. You don't know everything they're going through. You don't have access to their every thought, their every struggle. And that's part of what makes them so powerful. When you can't figure someone out, you respect them more. When they're not constantly explaining themselves, they command more authority. Their silence creates presence. Their privacy creates power. Now, I'm not saying you should never open up. We all need people we can trust. We all need safe spaces where we can express ourselves. But those spaces are few, and those people are rare. They're the ones who've proven through time and loyalty that they have your best interests at heart. They're the ones who protect your story, not spread it. They're the ones who don't use your words as weapons, but as a way to understand you better. That is who deserves access, not the entire world, not casual friends, not coworkers, not strangers on the internet. When you limit who has access to your story, you protect yourself from unnecessary pain. You protect yourself from betrayal. You protect yourself from judgment that doesn't serve you. And more importantly, you protect the parts of yourself that are still growing. Think about it. When a seed is planted, it doesn't grow out in the open right away. It stays hidden in the soil, protected, until it's strong enough to break through. Your goals, your struggles, your growth, they're the same. They need to be nurtured in private until they are strong enough to stand on their own. Sharing too soon exposes them before they're ready, and that's when people step on them, criticize them, or try to pull them out. So ask yourself this: who has access to your story right now? Who knows your deepest fears? Who knows your biggest dreams? Who knows the things that could hurt you if they fell into the wrong hands? And then ask yourself, have these people truly earned that right? Because if they haven't, you are giving away something priceless without realizing it. The moment you understand that not everyone deserves access to your story is the moment you take back control of your life. You stop bleeding your energy to people who don't care. You stop feeding gossip that doesn't serve you. You stop opening doors that only invite problems inside. Instead, you become more intentional, more guarded, more powerful. Your story is yours. Protect it, cherish it, and only share it with those who have proven they can be trusted with the most valuable thing you have. Silence is one of the most underestimated forms of strength. Most people believe that to be powerful, you need to speak louder, explain more, and constantly make yourself heard. But the truth is the exact opposite. The strongest individuals are rarely the ones filling every moment with words. They are the ones who know when to keep quiet. They are the ones who understand that silence is not emptiness. It is control. Silence doesn't mean you are weak. Silence means you are choosing not to give away your power. Think about the loudest person in a room. They speak non-stop, trying to convince everyone of their importance. At first, it may grab attention, but soon, people stop listening. Why? Because noise eventually loses its value. Now think about the person who sits quietly, who speaks rarely but with precision. When they finally decide to speak, every head turns. People listen carefully, because they know the words won't be wasted. That's the effect silence has. It magnifies your presence. When you remain silent, you create an aura of mystery. People can't figure you out. They wonder what you're thinking, what you know, what you're planning. That curiosity gives you an edge, because the less people know, the less they can control, the less they can predict, the less they can use against you. Words reveal. Silence protects. So many people weaken themselves by oversharing, by always explaining, by constantly needing to voice every thought. They think they're proving themselves, but in reality, they're handing out pieces of their strategy, their emotions, their vulnerabilities. The person who speaks too much is easy to read. They show their fears, their insecurities, their intentions without even realizing it. And in a world where people compete, where envy exists, where manipulation is real, giving others a blueprint of your mind is dangerous. Silence shields you from that. But silence isn't just about what you withhold from others. It's also about what you gain for yourself. In silence, you observe more. You listen more carefully. You pick up on details that others miss. You notice body language, tone shifts, hidden meanings behind words. While everyone else is rushing to talk, you are absorbing information, processing it, and positioning yourself wisely. That is power, knowing more than you reveal. There's also a discipline in silence. It takes strength to hold back when you want to respond. It takes control to remain calm when someone provokes you. Anyone can explode in anger or rush to defend themselves with words. That's easy. But the person who can remain silent under pressure, who can take an insult without reacting, who can let others talk themselves into mistakes while staying calm, that person holds true power. Because silence doesn't just protect your thoughts, it also protects your energy. Consider how often words create unnecessary problems. An argument that drags on because neither person could stay silent. A relationship damaged because something was said in anger. A goal destroyed because it was shared too soon with people who doubted it. Words can heal, but they can also destroy. Silence, on the other hand, cannot be used against you. No one can twist words you never said. No one can betray a secret you never revealed. No one can misquote a silence. And yet, silence doesn't mean absence. It doesn't mean you're invisible. In fact, silence amplifies your actions. When you stop talking about what you're going to do and instead focus on doing it, people notice. They respect results far more than promises. Silence makes your achievements louder. While others are busy explaining their plans, you're quietly building. By the time they realize what you've done, it's too late. You've already won. Think about nature. The most dangerous storm doesn't begin with thunder. It begins with silence, with calm, with stillness. Then suddenly, the storm shows its force. The same is true for powerful people. They don't announce their every move. They wait. They prepare. They observe. And when the time is right, they strike with precision. That's why silence intimidates. People fear what they cannot predict. Silence also protects your peace. Every time you explain yourself, every time you defend yourself, every time you justify your choices to people who don't matter, you drain your energy. But when you stay silent, you keep that energy for yourself. You stop wasting time convincing people who will never understand you. You stop opening doors for criticism that doesn't help you. Silence creates inner freedom. It's important to understand that silence is not about being passive. It's not about letting people walk over you. It's about choosing your words so carefully that when you do speak, they carry weight. It's about using silence as a weapon, not as a weakness. Imagine standing in front of someone who expects you to react, who wants to provoke you, who is desperate to see you lose control. And instead, you stay calm, you stay quiet, you stay unmoved. Do you realize how much that unsettles them? Silence throws people off balance because they cannot control what they cannot read. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause. The next time you want to share every detail of your plans, pause. The next time someone provokes you, pause. Ask yourself, does speaking serve me here? Or does silence protect me better? Most of the time, silence is the stronger choice. Great power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it says nothing at all. And that nothing speaks louder than any word could. The person who has mastered silence is the one who cannot be manipulated, cannot be provoked, cannot be defeated through words. That person carries a strength that others sense, even if they can't explain it. So learn to value silence. Let it become your shield, your discipline, your source of influence. Because once you realize how powerful it is to say less, you'll never waste energy trying to say more. You'll understand that silence is not emptiness, it is full of power. It is focus, it is presence. It is the mark of someone who does not need to prove themselves to anyone, because their strength speaks louder than their words ever could. Validation is one of the most subtle traps that keeps people weak, restless, and dependent on others. It begins innocently. You share a story, an accomplishment, or a struggle, and someone nods, smiles, or praises you, that small reaction makes you feel good. It gives you a sense of recognition, and for a moment, you feel seen. But what happens after that? You crave more of it. You want more nods, more approval, more confirmation that you are enough. And slowly, without even realizing it, your sense of worth becomes tied to what other people think. This is how so many people live their lives, constantly explaining themselves, constantly posting, constantly oversharing, not because they truly want to, but because they need someone to say, yes, you're right, or yes, you matter. The problem is, the more you seek validation, the more control you give away. It's like placing your confidence in someone else's hands. If they approve, you feel strong. If they disapprove, you feel crushed. If they ignore you, you feel invisible. That's not strength, that's dependence. Ask yourself, how many times have you held back from doing something because you feared people wouldn't approve? How many times have you abandoned a dream because someone laughed, doubted, or criticized? How many times have you shared something you were proud of, only to feel your excitement die when someone dismissed it? That's the power of seeking validation. It places your life in the hands of people who don't live it, who don't understand it, and who don't always want the best for you. When you live for validation, you become a performer instead of a creator. You stop doing things for yourself and start doing them for applause. Every move you make, every word you say, every dream you chase becomes filtered through the question, will they like this? Will they accept this? Will they approve of me? And in that process, you lose your authenticity. You lose the courage to take risks because risks are rarely applauded at first. You lose the ability to stand alone because standing alone doesn't guarantee approval. And you lose your inner strength because strength is built in silence, not in applause. The irony is that the people whose validation you seek are often just as insecure as you. They have their own doubts, their own fears, their own struggles, and yet you give them the power to define your worth. Think about that: someone who hasn't even figured out their own life is suddenly the judge of yours. That's the danger of living for validation. You let small-minded people shrink your vision. You let envious people poison your confidence. You let careless people damage your drive. True strength is when you no longer need validation, when you no longer seek approval, when you no longer care whether people clap for you or not. That doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive. It means you learn to stand on your own feet. You know who you are without anyone confirming it. You trust your own judgment, even when others doubt you. You move forward, even when no one is cheering. That's the kind of strength that makes people respect you. Because it is rare. Most people cannot function without outside approval. But those who can, those who are driven by their own compass, become unstoppable. There's another problem with validation. It never lasts. You can receive praise 100 times, but the moment it stops, you feel empty again. It's like a drug, and the high fades quickly. That's why people chase likes, followers, compliments, applause, but no matter how much they get, it's never enough. They still feel insecure. They still need more. The only way to break that cycle is to stop seeking it altogether. Ask yourself this: if no one ever applauded you, would you still do what you're doing? If no one ever recognized your hard work, would you still pursue that dream? If the answer is no, then you're not living for yourself. You're living for approval. And a life built on approval will always be fragile because approval can be given and taken away. But a life built on conviction, discipline, and self-belief, that life cannot be shaken. Validation also keeps you small. Think about it. People only validate what they can understand, what they're comfortable with, what fits their worldview. But the moment you try to break that mold, the moment you try to do something extraordinary, you'll lose validation. Because extraordinary always looks foolish at first. The greatest innovators, leaders, and visionaries were doubted, mocked, and rejected in the beginning. If they had needed validation, they would have quit before they ever made history. They succeeded because they didn't care if people clapped or not. They moved forward with or without approval. And here's something you need to realize. People's opinions are not always about you. They're often a reflection of themselves. Someone who doubts you is often doubting their own potential. Someone who mocks you is often hiding their own insecurity. Someone who withholds validation is often jealous of your courage. When you understand this, you stop taking opinions personally. You realize that validation and criticism are two sides of the same coin. Both are reflections of other people, not definitions of you. The moment you stop chasing validation, you start living free. You stop needing to announce your every move. You stop feeling the urge to prove yourself. You stop explaining your dreams to people who don't matter. And instead, you channel all that energy into the work itself, into building, growing, improving, into becoming so strong that the results speak louder than any words ever could. You don't need people to tell you you're enough. You already are. You don't need people to clap for your journey. It's yours, not theirs. You don't need constant approval to validate your existence. You validate yourself every single day by showing up, by staying disciplined, by refusing to quit. That is real confidence. That is real power. So stop falling into the trap of validation. Stop giving your power to people who haven't earned it. Stop waiting for applause before you move. You don't need the world to cheer for you. You just need the courage to keep going. Because in the end, the loudest validation you'll ever receive won't come from people. It will come from your own reflection. When you look in the mirror and realize that you built a life you're proud of, without needing anyone's permission to do it. Your energy is the most valuable currency you have. It fuels your thoughts, your actions, your goals, and your growth. Without it, nothing else works. Your discipline fades, your motivation weakens, your vision blurs. Yet most people give away their energy carelessly, handing it out to anyone who asks, draining themselves dry for people who don't even appreciate it. That's why so many end up exhausted, unfocused, and frustrated, not because they don't have potential, but because they don't know how to protect their energy. Protecting your energy means protecting your boundaries. It means recognizing that not everyone deserves access to your time, your emotions, or your attention. Too often, people let others walk in and out of their lives as if it costs nothing. But every conversation, every argument, every unnecessary explanation costs you something. It costs you focus. It costs you peace. It costs you strength. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day wondering why you feel empty, when the truth is you gave everything away to people who were never entitled to it in the first place. Think about the times you've let someone drain you. Maybe it was a friend who constantly complains, but never changes. Maybe it was a colleague who always dumps their problems on you. Maybe it was a family member who manipulates your kindness. Every time you give them your energy, you're left weaker while they walk away relieved. And it doesn't stop. Because people will always take as much as you're willing to give. If you don't set boundaries, they'll keep pushing until you have nothing left. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are filters to decide who gets in. Without them, you allow negativity, disrespect, and chaos to flow into your life unchecked. With them, you create space for growth, for peace, for strength. Boundaries aren't about being cold or selfish. They're about valuing yourself enough to say, I will not let you drain me. I will not let you control my emotions. I will not let you cross lines that damage my well-being. That is self-respect in action. The truth is, not everyone should have the same level of access to you. Some people earn your trust through loyalty, respect, and consistency. Others haven't earned anything, but still expect everything. If you're not careful, you'll treat them the same and wonder why you keep getting hurt. You need to separate who deserves your energy from who only takes it. Because energy given to the wrong people is energy stolen from your future. Protecting your energy also means choosing where you place your focus. How much time do you waste on arguments that don't matter? How much attention do you give to opinions that add no value to your life? How often do you replay conversations in your head that only upset you? Every thought you entertain is an investment of energy. And if you're constantly investing in negativity, you'll always feel broke. That's why learning to walk away, to stay silent, to redirect your attention is one of the strongest skills you can ever develop. But here's where many people struggle. They confuse boundaries with guilt. They feel guilty for saying no. They feel guilty for protecting their time. They feel guilty for putting themselves first. So instead, they keep saying yes when they want to say no. And little by little, they betray themselves. What they don't realize is this: every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to something that could build you. Every time you put others before your own peace, you are silently teaching them that your boundaries don't matter. And if you don't respect your own boundaries, why should anyone else? It's not selfish to protect your energy. It's survival. You cannot pour into others if you are empty yourself. You cannot give your best to your goals if you've already given your best to unnecessary distractions. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop sacrificing yourself for people who don't care about you. There will always be people who test your boundaries. They'll call you selfish. They'll call you distant. They'll call you cold. But what they're really saying is that your boundaries prevent them from using you the way they want. And that is exactly why you need them. People who truly value you will respect your limits. People who don't respect you will always try to break them. The way they respond to your boundaries will show you exactly where they belong in your life. Protecting your energy also means protecting your environment. Who you surround yourself with matters more than you think. Spend time with negative, draining people and you'll feel constantly tired. Surround yourself with driven, disciplined people and you'll feel inspired. Energy is contagious, and if you don't guard yours carefully, you'll absorb the wrong kind. That's why you have to be ruthless about your circle. Not everyone can come with you. Not everyone should be close to you. And that's okay. One of the strongest things you can ever say is no. No to things that don't align with your goals. No to people who disrespect your peace. No to obligations that drain more than they give. No is not rejection. It's redirection. It's telling the world, my energy is valuable, and I will spend it where it matters most. The people who truly belong in your life will understand. The ones who don't will leave, and their absence will give you more space for what really deserves you. Your energy is your life force. Protect it. Guard it. Don't waste it on meaningless arguments, temporary validation, or people who don't value it. Set boundaries not just with others but with yourself. Boundaries on how much time you waste, how much negativity you allow, how much energy you spend on things that don't matter. Because the truth is, every ounce of energy you save is energy you can reinvest in yourself, your dreams, and your future. When you learn to protect your energy and enforce your boundaries, you stop living drained and start living empowered. You stop being at the mercy of other people's demands and start taking control of your own life. And once you taste that kind of freedom, you'll never go back to giving yourself away so cheaply again. People talk too much. They explain too much. They defend themselves too much. They reveal their plans, their struggles, and their intentions with words, thinking it makes them strong. But the truth is, strength doesn't lie in telling people what you're going to do. It lies in showing them through action. Words can be doubted, twisted, ignored, or mocked. But actions are undeniable. You can argue against someone's speech, but you cannot argue against their results. That's why the most powerful statement you can ever make is not spoken. It's lived. Every time you talk about what you're going to do, you give people a chance to question you. They might discourage you, laugh at you, or try to sabotage you. But when you move in silence and let your actions do the speaking, you eliminate the noise. You shift from explaining to proving, and proof is the ultimate power. You don't need to convince anyone who you are if your actions show it every single day. Think about how much time people waste telling others about their dreams. They talk about the business they want to start, the book they want to write, the changes they want to make. Yet years pass, and they're still talking. Meanwhile, someone else who said nothing went out and built something real. The world respects results, not promises. Nobody is moved by intentions, they're moved by execution. That's why people who act are always remembered, while people who only talk fade into the background. There's another reason to let your actions speak louder than words. Words reveal your strategy. When you share your plans too early, you give away the advantage. Others can steal your ideas, compete with you, or sabotage you, but when you act in silence, nobody knows what's coming until it's already too late. That's how you protect your progress. Not every seed you plant needs to be announced. Some things need to grow in silence, in darkness, until they are strong enough to face the world. The greatest power of action is that it removes doubt. You can tell people you're disciplined, but if your actions show laziness, your words mean nothing. You can tell people you're committed, but if your actions show inconsistency, they won't believe you. On the other hand, you don't have to say a word if your results prove it. Actions eliminate excuses. They create evidence. And evidence is louder than any explanation you could ever give. Many people want to be respected, but they chase it with words instead of actions. Respect doesn't come from telling people how great you are. It comes from showing up, putting in the work, and delivering results consistently. The quiet person who moves with discipline commands more respect than the loud person who talks about their greatness but never delivers. Respect is not demanded, it is earned, one action at a time. There's also a deeper power in letting your actions speak. It builds unshakable confidence. When you know you've put in the work, you don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need to defend yourself. Your actions already confirm your worth. That's a level of confidence no one can take away because it's not built on opinions, it's built on proof. Talking gives you temporary satisfaction, but acting gives you permanent strength. And here's something people often forget. The more you talk, the less you act. Words can become a substitute for effort. Talking about your goals tricks your brain into feeling like you've already accomplished something, which kills your drive. But when you stay quiet, you keep the hunger alive. You don't release the energy through words, you channel it into action. Silence sharpens focus while over-talking scatters it. That's why the most disciplined people are often the quietest about what they're working on. Of course, this doesn't mean you should never speak. It means you should let your speaking follow your actions, not the other way around. Share when you've already built something. Talk when there is proof behind your words. Don't waste breath on promises, spend it on execution. When people see your results, your words will carry weight. Without results, your words are just noise. Letting your actions speak also protects your energy. When you constantly explain yourself, you're giving people pieces of your mental and emotional strength. You're inviting judgment, opinions, and distractions. But when you act without explanation, you conserve energy. You keep your power within yourself instead of handing it away. And over time, that energy builds momentum that no one can stop. Think about history. The people remembered are not the ones who promised to change the world. They're the ones who acted on it. Nobody quotes the empty speeches of those who never followed through. They quote the people whose actions shaped reality. That's the standard you should hold yourself to, not to be the loudest voice in the room, but to be the strongest action in the room. There's also an element of surprise in letting your actions speak. People expect talkers to fall short, but they never expect the quiet one to suddenly rise above everyone. Moving silently allows you to exceed expectations. You don't set yourself up for judgment. You don't create pressure from your own words. Instead, you deliver results that nobody saw coming. That shock, that undeniable proof is far more powerful than any speech could ever be. So the next time you feel the urge to explain your goals, stop. The next time you feel the need to defend your worth, stop. The next time you're tempted to prove yourself with words, remember, proof is built through actions, not explanations. If you want to be respected, don't talk about respect. Live in a way that demands it. If you want to be successful, don't talk about success. Put in the work that creates it. At the end of the day, people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you promised. But they will never forget what you did. Your actions are your legacy. They're the story you leave behind when your words fade away. So live in a way where you don't have to announce who you are. Your actions make it clear without a single word. At the end of the day, life will always test you through people, through challenges, through moments where you'll feel the urge to defend yourself, explain yourself, or prove yourself. But remember this, Not everyone deserves access to your story. Silence is a source of power. Validation is a trap. Your energy must be protected, and your actions will always speak louder than your words. When you learn to live by these principles, you stop playing small. You stop begging for approval. You stop handing out your power. You rise above the noise, above the drama, above the constant pull of people who don't have your best interest at heart. And in that space, you find freedom, the freedom to be fully yourself, without explanation, without apology, without compromise. So walk with strength. Keep some things to yourself. Protect your peace like it's treasure. Let your silence create mystery, and let your results speak so loudly that no voice, no criticism, no doubt can drown them out. The strongest person in the room is not the one who talks the most. It's the one who doesn't need to talk at all, because their life already tells the story. Your life is your message. Make sure it's powerful enough to echo without words.